The Empire marches to battle against the Beastmen in an attempt to vanish the dark omen that taints their lands. Arch-Lector Ilyas will test the faith of his men to their limits as he faces an ancient enemy that threatens to ravage their civilized world. The Cloven Ones, chaotic creatures, the result of man and beast fused together in an unholy process. They have existed for a long time. The lands of the old world used to be their hunting grounds, the Blood Grounds. When Sigmar, Emperor of Man, came into power, the era of the Beastmen came to a close. The combined and organised forces of men drove them back to the deepest and darkest places of the world. But the Children of Chaos never forgot this era of supremacy, and they longed for its return. Malagor, the Dark Omen, is a fearful figure in the legends and rumours of the Empire. He is also called the Crowfather, due to his impressive set of feathered black pinions. He masters the lore of the wild, along with other forms of dark magic. Disturbed by the rumours of the black-winged mutant coming dangerously close to the town of Brockle, in the province of Middenland, Arch-Lector Ilyas rallied with him a battle force including some of the most faithful of Sigmar's servants. Landrich, a powerful bright wizard, would also join the cause. As they advanced towards the presumed location of the Beastmen, Ilyas felt a dark presence closer and closer. Advancing through the forest area, a group of centaurs was spotted dangerously close to the main Empire force. The disciplined men formed a firing line surprisingly quickly and dealt with the menacing beasts, which fled under the barrage of firepower. The soldiers of the Empire were still firing when the forest started to echo with the sounds of thousands of hooves fast approaching. The men's guts turned to ice as they realised that the Crowfather was in that place. But they embraced for the upcoming fight, their faith and determination unshakable. A mob of centaurs wielding enormous weapons did a daring manoeuvre behind the lines of humans to attack the artillery crews, firing the war machines. The Hellstorm rocket battery was quickly silenced. They retreated before a counterattack could be made. Orders were being shouted across the entire Empire line as the soldiers ran to assemble defensive formations. They certainly didn't expect the Beastmen to attack in that place. Their scouts had reported the main horde was at least 2 days away, but all the men were determined to make a stand and drive the Beastmen far from their lands. The Cloven Ones had a high price to pay for past atrocities, after all. A group of Empire Knights tried to cause some early casualties on the approaching Beastmen and attacked the Black Horn's Ravengers. The Knights' charge was successful, but when they attempted to retreat, their horses were intercepted by the fast-moving Hounds of Pestilence that emerged from the ranks of the beasts. The rest of the horde quickly covered the distance and also began furiously attacking the Knights, chopping many of them to the ground. Barely half of the Knights made it out of that initial engagement. In that moment, Ilyas's men realised the threat they were facing. The Children of Chaos were coming from an unexpected direction, or so it seemed initially, until the soldiers began to see the horned beasts coming from everywhere. The gun lines prepared to shoot. Barrages of gunfire, both from handguns and from remaining artillery, teared into the Beastmen, ripping their bodies asunder. But that didn't stop the horde that kept advancing like an unstoppable avalanche. Landric unleashed an enormous burning head into the monstrous herd. The blaze covered several chaos spawns that just kept advancing, ignoring the scorching flames. However, several Ungors were completely consumed by the fire. With thousands of braying roars and the booming echoes from crystallized horns, the Beastmen charged into spears and shield walls of the brave and disciplined soldiers of the Empire. These rowdy beasts bark and bawl, an unceasing cacophony that filled the men's hearts with dread. They were predators. Anything else, their prey. The flagellants were quickly surrounded. Ilyas charged, attempting to break the encirclement. With battle prayers and the masterful use of his hammer, the Archlector killed beasts without stopping. With all forces committed to fighting, the artillery crews and firing lines were left exposed, and soon enough their positions were compromised. Faithful men cowered at the presence of the Crow Father, for he was the despoiler of all things holy, his bleating screams and the sound of his flapping wings signalling doom. Empire Knights arrived to aid of an army. They charged into the back of the main horde of Beastmen, but as soon as they emerged from the tree line, the pack of Hounds of Pestilence and a group of hulking Minotaurs attacked with unrelenting fury. Nearby, a gigantic Gorbull charged the Archlector. Ilyas engaged the monster and fought with all of his might. Meanwhile, the infantry of the Empire began to falter. Though disciplined and brave, they were no match for the overwhelming numbers. It did not take long before their morale began to break, before the army was in a full-blown rout. Though Landrick managed to escape in the midst of the chaos, Ilyas was felled by the axes and the claws of the Beastmen. All that remained of the army were groups of maddened and crazed soldiers running. Only the sons of Sigmar stood standing. Their last stand was admirable, but inconsequential. Ultimately, they were dragged down by all kinds of beasts. The Crowfather and his horde would feast well that eve. Only a few survivors returned to the town of Brockle and nearby settlements, but numerous of the stories of the horrors they saw on that day.
Thank you for watching. On this channel, we're putting together fan-made cinematic episodes featuring historical and fantasy battles based on the settings from the Total War series and, of course, good old World of Warhammer. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe and hit the notification button to be the first to watch the next battle.